If you're over 40 and training the same way you did in your 20s, you're leaving muscle on the table. Or worse, you're slowly breaking yourself down. Because after 40, your body doesn't reward intensity the same way. It rewards precision. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 5 golden rules to build muscle, stay lean, and actually feel better as you age. If you're a guy in your late 30s, 40s, or even into your 50s, you've probably already felt this shift. You're still training, still putting in the effort, but the results don't come as easily. Recovery is slower, joints start talking back, and fat doesn't come off the way it used to. This is where most guys make the critical mistake. They don't adjust, they just push harder. More weight, more volume, more intensity, but that approach eventually catches up to you. So let's start with the first rule, which is training and programming. You still need progressive overload, that part never changes. You need to challenge the muscle and you need to gradually get stronger over time. But how you do that becomes a lot more important. Most of your training should live in that 6 to 10 rep range for your compound lifts. That's the sweet spot where you can build strength and muscle without putting unnecessary stress and risk on your joints. In terms of structure, you don't need a ton of volume, and you're aiming for about 20 to 25 total reps per movement. So that could look like 3 sets of 8, 4 sets of 6, 5 sets of 5, or even 6 sets of 4, depending on the phase of training you're in. Now here's the key shift. You should always be leaving about 2 to 3 reps in reserve. That means if you could technically push out 10 reps, you stop around 7 or 8. You're not chasing failure or grinding out poor reps. You're just making sure that you get them done with the right amount of intensity. And this becomes even more important when you look at loading. If you think in terms of percentages, most of your work is going to fall between that 65 to 85% of your 1 rep max. So if your max bench press is 225, 75% is roughly 170 pounds. So you might do 3 sets of 8 at that weight, but you're stopping before failure, keeping those reps nice and clean and controlled. The goal is not to totally exhaust yourself. The goal is to stimulate the muscle while protecting your joints and nervous system. Because one sloppy rep, one forced lift with bad form can set you back weeks or even months. And injuries are what completely stop and stall progress, so you want to avoid that at all costs. At this stage, you're not trying to prove how strong you are in a single workout. You're trying to build strength that holds up over the next 10 to 20 years. Now, moving into the second rule, this is all about nutrition. This is where most guys fall apart. You can train perfectly, but if your nutrition is off, you're not going to build muscle the way you want. And the first thing to get right is protein. Protein is non-negotiable. You want to aim for around 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, not total body weight. So this distinction matters. So if you weigh 220 pounds and you're around 20% body fat, your lean body mass is closer to 175 to 180 pounds. So that's your target. So you're aiming for roughly 170 to 180 grams of protein per day. And this becomes more important as you age because your body becomes less efficient at building and maintaining muscle. So protein, very, very important. You need a stronger signal to get the same response. Food quality also matters. You want to focus on whole foods, especially animal proteins like beef, chicken, eggs, lamb, pork, turkey, fish. At the same time, you want to reduce processed foods and seed oils as much as possible. Inflammation goes up as you get older, and that directly impacts recovery, hormones, and body composition. Carbs should be controlled, not eliminated. Most guys do well with a low to moderate carb approach. You can place them around your workouts or later in the day, but there's no need to go 0 carb unless there's a specific reason. Eating out is another area to watch for. 1 to 2 times a week is fine, but beyond that, you lose control over oils, ingredients, portion sizes, and these all add up super fast. Fasting can also be a useful tool. A simple 12 to 16 hour time restricted eating window can work quite well for a lot of people. If you're carrying extra body fat, you can push that further and maybe even incorporate the occasional 24-hour fast. This can help improve insulin sensitivity, support fat loss, and give your system a bit of a reset through the process called autophagy or cellular cleaning. Now let's talk about the third rule, which is cardio. Most guys either ignore it completely or go way too hard with it. The goal here is not to do the most cardio possible. The goal is to do cardio that you can sustain over a long period of time. Start with the basics. 8 to 10,000 steps per day is a great foundation. Adding 10-minute walks after meals is one of the simplest and most effective habits you can build. It helps with blood sugar control, digestion, overall health. There's tons of benefits. From there, you want to include some zone 2 cardio. This is where your heart rate sits somewhere between 120, 140 beats per minute. You should be working, but still able to hold a light conversation. A good target is around 150 minutes per week of this zone 2. This builds your cardiovascular base, improves fat metabolism, and supports recovery. Then you can layer in some high intensity work. 2 to 3 sessions per week, 8 to 12 minutes per session is usually more than enough of HIIT training. So this can be sprints on the bike, rowing intervals, or anything similar, running, swimming, that you enjoy. The mistake is thinking that more is better, but too much high intensity work can drive up stress hormones, impact recovery, and actually might slow your progress down. So use them sparingly. So keep it controlled and make it something you can stick with. That's the big thing with cardio here. Now on to the fourth rule, and that's recovery. This is where a lot of guys over 40 really separate themselves. You don't build muscle in the gym. You build muscle when you're recovering between gym sessions. So sleep is the foundation. You need 7 to 8 hours each night. If your sleep is off, everything else starts to fall apart. Testosterone drops, recovery slows down. Your body becomes more prone to storing fat because insulin goes up. On top of the sleep, you need to start prioritizing mobility and body work. So this includes stretching, movement work, foam rolling, taking care of your joints through things like massage, acupuncture, chiropractic. I'm a huge fan of all this stuff. Can be very helpful depending on your situation. Sauna and steam can also really support circulation, recovery, and even something as deep breathing can help shift your body into a more relaxed state. All these things together will help you improve recovery. And one of the most important and overlooked pieces is rest days. You need 1 to 2 days off per week. If your training volume exceeds your ability to recover, you're going to go backwards. Finally, let's talk about the fifth rule, which is supplements. And this is where I want to be very clear. Supplements are not the foundation. They're simply there to support a system that is already dialed in. If your training, nutrition, sleep, and recovery aren't in place, no supplement is going to fix that. But when all those pieces are solid, the right supplements can absolutely help you build muscle, recover a bit better, optimize how you feel. Creatine monohydrate is at the top of this list. 5 to 10 grams per day, every day. It supports strength, muscle, power output, and even cognitive function. Depression, anxiety, brain fog. It's wonderful for that. This is one of the most studied and reliable supplements you can take, especially as you get older. You need lots of it. Magnesium glycinate is another big one, 200 to 400 milligrams at night, ideally as a glycinate or bisglycinate. This is awesome for helping with deep sleep, nervous system regulation, recovery, muscle cramps, muscle soreness. All this is critical for people over 40. B vitamins can be really helpful for energy production and stress resilience, particularly if you're dealing with higher workloads or you're dealing with fatigue. A good quality B complex is usually sufficient here. Zinc and boron also play a big role in supporting healthy testosterone levels. So zinc around 15 to 30 milligrams a day and boron around 3 to 6 milligrams a day can be super beneficial. Ashwagandha is a herb I use quite often with patients. 300 to 600 milligrams per day of a standardized extract can help reduce cortisol, improve stress resilience, support recovery, and boost testosterone if it's the right strain. Then you've got other compounds like Tonkat Ali, Fedosia agrestis. Tonkat, typically a dose range of around 400 milligrams a day. Fedosia, around 300 to 600 milligrams per day. These are super helpful to get to the testicular level, increase testosterone output, improve libido, sex drive, and just overall recovery and function. Now, this is also where we need to briefly talk about testosterone itself. For some men, despite doing everything right, training, eating well, recovering, sleeping, taking all the supplements, their testosterone levels may still be low, and symptoms can still be quite obvious. Low energy, poor recovery, low libido, brain fog, loss of drive, termination, motivation. In those cases, TRT can absolutely be a tool, but it should be a thoughtful medical decision based on both symptoms and proper blood work. Not just one number, but a full picture. Total testosterone, free testosterone, SHBG, and correlate those numbers with how you feel. And this is not something you just jump into too early. This is not step one. This is something you consider after you've cleaned up the foundation and you're doing all the things right. If you're thinking about going down that road, I've already done a full video on 5 things you need to know before you start TRT. So we'll link that up here. And I'd strongly recommend that you watch that first so you understand exactly what you're getting into. Because when it's done properly, it can be a wonderful, powerful tool. But when it's done poorly, it can create more problems than it solves. And the last piece here, which most guys overlook, is hydration. You should be aiming for roughly 1 liter of water per 50 pounds body weight each day, along with proper electrolytes and high quality salts, pink sea salt, white sea salt, Himalayan salt. Hydration directly impacts strength, endurance, recovery, and even mental clarity. So when you step back and look at all this, most guys think they need more intensity, more supplements, or some type of shortcut, but you really don't. You just need better structure and foundation, better consistency, and fewer mistakes. Because your body will still build muscle after 40. It just won't tolerate sloppy inputs anymore. So if you found this helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe, share it with someone. And if you want to go deeper on a hormone optimization, check out the video of the 5 things you need to know before starting TRT. And as always, thank you for watching.